We're going to invite the Weavers and Jennifer to come on up here and talk to us, to enlighten us on a big thing happening in our culture. Thank you, Jennifer. Welcome. Welcome, Tom and
Astor,
Michelle.
thank you, FBC. By a show of hands, how many of you have children, nieces, nephews between the ages of 12 and 20? Okay, so that's a fair amount. Well, my name is Jennifer Foxworthy. I'm the founder and CEO of Unstoppable You Ministries, and UIM is in the trenches filling the gaps. We bring awareness and supportive resources to the community, but especially to those concerning domestic violence, human trafficking, and homelessness. Many of you may not know, but 12 to 20 is the average age of a human trafficking victim. So I wanted that to sink in, that these children, women, adults, are the ones that the age that you're taking care of, or no. January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. The ribbon color is blue, hence why I'm wearing blue today. National Human Trafficking Awareness Day was yesterday. The definition of human trafficking is the action or practice of illegally transporting people from one country or area to another, typically for the purposes of forced labor or sexual exploitation. Maryland is a hot spot. It takes 5 to 10 minutes. You're in DC, you're in Virginia. We have the water where you can come from Delaware over to here, bringing the victims by way of water, multiple airports. I-95 is a corridor that goes from Maine all the way down to Florida. And this is why I'm grateful to have the opportunity to speak to you today for a few minutes. According to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, human trafficking is the business of stealing freedom for profit. In some cases, traffickers trick, defraud, or physically force victims into providing commercial sex. In others, victims are lied to, assaulted, threatened, or manipulated into working under humane, illegal, or otherwise unacceptable conditions. This is a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry that denies freedom to over 25 million people worldwide. Why is this horrendous crime so lucrative? Unlike drugs, a human being is a never-ending supply for labor or sex. A human trafficker can pass off the victim as a relative or a friend, whereas drugs can be visually detected by a police officer or sniffed out by K9. So how can you make a difference? Be mindful of your surroundings. Situational awareness is very key. Know the signs. Traffickers, they will tattoo their victims with a barcode or some type of tattoo. The victim may look distressed while the trafficker is dressed very well, and they may do all the speaking for them. Talk about it to your family and friends. Build healthy relationships. Many of the people that are vulnerable are in and out of foster care, juvenile detention centers, they're runaways, they grow up in abusive environments, and they're looking for love and acceptance, and that's what the trafficker preys on, and they groom them. Unstoppable You Ministries, we provide those supportive resources, and you can always talk to me, ask me any questions. The National Human Trafficking Hotline, 1-888-373-7888, and I learn something new about this every day. As I'm preparing for my Jacksonville conference for March, I reached out to a human trafficking presenter who did mission trips in Peru, and many of the victims, she told me, get put into pornography. That's how they get started as a victim. And when I heard that, I'm like, are you kidding me? Because I'm thinking that sex trafficking or labor trafficking is a forced means of prostitution. And so that's when I reached out to Michelle and Tom, and they explained to me how human trafficking and pornography are intertwined.
We want to thank you, Jennifer, for sharing that and also contacting us to be a part of today. It was very enlightening to see and hear a shock into the connection with trafficking and the porn industry. Sometimes we all get immune to things like this with being so immersed in it and assume it is just common knowledge. When you hear the term sexual exploitation or human trafficking, you think things only happened in the third world countries. We don't think it is our reality right here. That's not the case. Reality is, it hits very close to home. It is staggering here in the United States, in Atlanta alone, anywhere from 200 to 400 young adolescent girls are sold online each month. 65% of trafficking occurs in the suburbs, not just in the inner city thing, as some of us like to believe. 50% of the victims trafficked were filmed for pornography while they were in bondage or held against their will. United States Department of Justice reports one child is trafficked for sexual exploitation every 2 minutes. It's estimated that only 1%, that's 1% of them ever are rescued.
So it's needless to say, pornography fuels human sex trafficking. If you've ever watched porn in any way, at any time, you unfortunately have contributed to this industry. I being one of them for a long period of time. I don't say this in shame, because there is no shame in it, but it's just to bring the correlation between the two and how they are so relative to one another. Porn used to be the norm. It was acceptable, or it was just a matter of opinion if you liked it or not. It is now a fact. We know porn changes the brain. This is no longer undeniable, it is a fact. Noelle Boucher, Executive Director of Pure Hope, explained, while pornography content includes trafficked victims from around the world, porn consumers aren't told anything about the performers, including which ones may have been trafficked from an early age. Regular users of internet pornography are likely consuming pornography that includes adult and child victims of sex trafficking. Pornography kills relationships, it wrecks marriages, and it devastates the family. We must fight this battle upstream, where it starts. We must protect the next generation. For those that you saw riding right here back in December, his famous quote is, "It's easier to raise a healthy child than it is to fix a broken man or woman." We need to educate parents and our kids. As Jennifer said, we need to look for the signs and what's out there and how we can protect our kids as well as ourselves. We're doing another event just for this and educating parents sometime this fall. We need to empower the next generation. We also need to restore those involved. That's why we do the groups that we have here. This church is so supportive of all the groups that we have. We restore the brokenness in men, women, marriages, and families. Groups help us get to the root of the behavior. Groups help us stay in community and start the healing process. We have another Conquer series starting February 4th. Feel free to join in with that. And when we start the healing process, we reduce the demand for pornography, thus reducing the demand for trafficking. It's an ongoing issue. Join the movement. Do something this month, this year, to make a difference. We are all seeds, and if we sit here and get the fertilization to produce fruit from that seed, yet go out tomorrow and contribute to such a devastating industry, we are doing a disservice to ourselves and dishonoring God. It's 2020. Is your vision focused, clear? Are you ready to go through the new year and do the same old thing over and over and expect a different result? Help the cause. Be aware. Know the signs. Get educated. Join a group, but become laser focused on God's plan to fight this battle. God can turn a mess into a message, but we need the tools to do it. It starts here in this church, as Mike said in his prayer this morning. It starts with a revival, and the revival starts in this church with everyone here. So take a charge.
Thank you. And again, if you're wearing blue, take a picture, tag Unstoppable You Ministries, or just share the information. The average child lasts about 7 years, and the trafficker makes about $200,000 a year on that victim. That equates to about $1.4 million during that span. So if you provide services in homes, you may see someone who is labor trafficked, and you could be the outlet for them to get help. So thank you, Pastor. Thank you, church.